Hey guys, welcome to Embracing the Shift. We are so excited to have two guests on today. We have Jen L. We're going to call them Jen L and Jen B because we've got two Jens, both in the nervous system regulation space, both very different backgrounds, but super excited to kind of get knowledge from you guys. I know both of you personally, so I love that I kind of pull from different places with each of you. But we'll start with Jen L. If you can just briefly tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we'll get started.
So briefly, my past life was an esthetician for 23 years, and I owned a business at one point for about 9 years. And people would lay on my table and tell me all their things. And so I developed these really deep connections and relationships and kind of already was in a space of working out the issues, right? So in my 40s, I was a mother of 5. I was a business owner, and I was in a very covertly destructive marriage. And I did not really realize what was happening or what was going on. I had done about 20 plus years of talk therapy and started realizing there's something else. There's something else going on because I had done a lot of work around reprocessing, trauma reprocessing, memories, a lot of what they call top-down therapy. And I just kept feeling like, well, why is my body not lining up? Why is it that I can't get out of this pattern, this stuckness? And so I started just honestly Googling what was going on in my body.
That sounds terrifying.
It started leading me.
Googling what's going on.
Yeah, Google, it's the best. Now chat GPT.
I was going to say, now we'll chat.
Give us all the
answers.
Is the best. I have a name for my chat GPT.
You do?
His name is Julian.
I love Julian. I love it.
Because I feel like it makes it so much more personal if I say, Julian, please tell me what you think.
I know so many people that have named their chat GPTs. So it's building a relationship with a robot.
True.
All normal.
Welcome to 2025. Here we are.
Right? And so I started realizing there is what's called a somatic system that...
and just for reference, so people know, what does somatic mean? Because I didn't know what that really meant until I got into it.
Somatic just means it's in the body.
Okay.
There's a separate system from our neurobiology in our brain. There's a separate system in our nervous system that can hold on to trauma, remember trauma, and wire itself for safety when we are in a traumatic event or we are triggered by a past traumatic event. And so I had all of this brain processing going on, and I'm like, okay, I get it logically, but my body does not get it. And so when I began learning more about somatic, it led me, and also in that time period, we're talking 2019, 2020, there was not a lot out there. There just wasn't. There was not a lot out there on this type of education, especially not in the U.S. So actually, I stumbled upon a woman who is based in England. Her name is Caroline Strawson. And she was doing deep, deep somatic work. She did one-to-one coaching, and she also did kind of like mass coaching, like coaching to the masses of a monthly membership where she would drop a video. And each week, it would be an hour-long video along with worksheets and somatic things that you could do. So that's where my journey began in the somatic work. And then later on, she developed a school where she trained others to become somatic coaches. And I went through her school.
Okay.
So that's kind of in a nutshell, my journey.
And how many years has it been since you finished your schooling?
Well, I finished my schooling honestly, less than a year ago.
Really?
It took me a year and a half just to
You're
get
so good at it. I thought it had been years.
Thank you.
Really did.
Well, that probably leans towards my years as an esthetician.
I was going to say, like having a client in your seat when it's half therapy and half anti-aging, it will teach you a lot of things.
Correct. And then so many years of counseling myself, getting counseling myself. So it took me, I thought I was going to breeze through this program in 6 months. And I simply did not, because you do your own nervous system work as you are learning. And it took me about a year and a half to really get through it in a way that was transformative. I didn't want to just know the knowledge. I wanted to be the knowledge. I wanted to embody that knowledge. And so it took me a little longer. So since last November, I became officially certified, and it still took me until April of this year to go public with my certification.
And then I took her real public because I told every single person I came in contact, I was like, here's her number. You just text her and she will get you on your schedule. And she's like, Erin, stop.
No, I never would say stop, but it has grown really fast. And it is such a needed conversation.
It was life-changing for me. Yeah. Like I had done talk therapy for a decade, at least. I mean, probably when I was younger too, like in and out of just trying to like make sure you're good in college and after and those kind of things. But kind of always the same ending, like where you kind of finish going, okay, I feel better, like, but I keep making the same choices or I keep choosing the same thing. And like, why is that? And so this was like 2 sessions in, I was like, I remember telling someone, I feel like, not to say there's anything wrong with talk therapy, because there is not. It is so beneficial. But there is something about being in your 40s and recognizing like my body is, something's different. And I am recognizing now I have this pattern for 20 years that I can look at and go, I've chosen the same, or I've behaved the same in certain situations, or I've responded the same in certain situations. And I'm not getting out of that. So like I have to try something different. And I told someone like 2 sessions of this somatic work, painful and emotional. And really you have to be in a space where you're allowing yourself to be very vulnerable and you have to allow yourself to feel it. But I felt like what that did versus like a decade of talk therapy, I was like, I will continue this process. And it's something you can do at home. Once you're learning how to do it, you can stop yourself in those moments and regulate your nervous system.
Well, and correct me if I'm wrong, but from what I'm learning, it is truly goes hand in hand with just the holistic approach, right? Like we are a whole being. And I think as our human nature is to compartmentalize. And we probably compartmentalize more than we realize just by nature, right? 100%. Like second nature this is something I'm struggling with emotionally, or this is something that my mind can't go to sleep at night, right? Like, and we all throughout the day, we have these little moments that are happening and we're compartmentalizing them. And then as I'm digging into all of this, just realizing like, hey, let's take a step back. Our bodies are speaking to us from the inside out. And I think that's what I'm most excited about learning more of, is listening to our bodies when we are trying to speak, when they are trying to speak to us. It's powerful.
Which is the perfect intro to Gen B, because Gen B has this background in medicine. So you're really focused on the nervous system, but a lot of different aspects than Gen L, correct?
Yeah, exactly. And to Stacy's point, our body speaks a somatic language, not a verbal language. And so that's why talking—
That's hard for someone who talks a lot.
Top down, just like Janelle said, the bottom up approach, that's the somatic. But it makes sense in medicine. We have symptoms, right? We understand that part. Why do we have symptoms? Why do we have headaches? Why do we have pain? Our body's trying to send us a message. And it only speaks somatics. It only speaks in sensations. So putting that together makes so much sense, right? Because now we really understand more. If that's how our body works, if we see that our body speaks to us somatically in symptoms, then that's how we have to talk back to it. And just like Janelle said, primarily the approach is top down. That's only 20% of the story. 80% of the nervous system is body up. So when we only address top down self-talk therapy, mindset, affirmations. I can do this. I got this.
When are you talking about like when you're sticking like from like the neck up?
Right.
You're just working with like the mental part.
And those will get us up in the morning, right? Like those positive talks
the
get
mental
us started.
piece. Yeah. And just like Erin said, why do I keep doing the same thing over and over? I've gone to therapy. I know better. But we can't do better until we embody and support our actual body. And that's the somatic work.
So how did you get into this from where you were? So give us a little bit of your background.
Sure. Absolutely.
Yeah. Just like Janelle, personal journey. So many of us, I think many of us in this work started for ourselves because there wasn't anything out there. My background is conventional medicine. I went up through college system, bachelor's in nutrition, doctorate of pharmacy, worked in healthcare for many years. And unfortunately, healthcare, the system that is supposed to support our well-being, doesn't take care of its own. You look at the burnout rates and the mental health decline of healthcare professionals, and it is off the charts. Why? Because we're driven, ambitious people as a collective, and that's what guides all of our decisions.
Right.
We overwork. And that's my story. I was very ambitious. I loved my job. I loved my patients. And I also was married with 2 young kids, living in a town where I had no family support. And so I pushed and I did what always worked. My what always worked season of pushing through, working harder, staying up late, getting everything done. It caught up.
It always worked for everyone else, right? It always worked to get the boxes checked, but we never stop and go, wait, is that actually working for me, or is this benefiting everyone
else
but me?
Yeah, right. Exactly. And so I found myself in a really dark place. I didn't have the language for it at the time. I went to my doctor thinking I had chronic fatigue, insomnia. My mood was starting to change a little bit. And now, knowing what I know, it was burnout. But I hit burnout. And as an ambitious, high-achieving woman, burnout felt foreign. I did not know myself. And that was a really scary place to land.
Do you feel like you felt the burnout too for a while and you just kept pushing through?
Of course. Right? The number one way women cope with stress, we push through.
Right.
As a collective, that's what we do. And we learn that through society. We learn that through modeling. How many of your moms did you watch? Just keep going, push through. She got it done, stayed up late. And we see that. And
and if you're someone who, as a child, which I've learned recently, had to work for attention or approval, or then you're working real hard all the time because that's how you're getting people's appreciation, their love, their this or their that. Mine was always through work. So the harder I worked, the more attention I got, or the better I did at X, Y, and Z. So then it taught me that was the only way for people to I don't want to say love me and be dramatic, but that was the only way I could receive love was through works. So that I was working constantly. And I was, but never enjoying any of it because I was exhausted.
Well, and that's exactly that's what this system, this nervous system does, is that I describe it as an operating system. It is the operating system of our body. And so its primary role is safety, not comfort, not success. It is safety in helping us get our needs met. And so to your point, if you felt more loved, more chosen, more valued, more seen, safer, your system literally coded, just like putting in operational codes, it coded, this is what we're going to do every time because this made me feel loved and chosen and seen and validated and safe I want more of that. And this happens in our subconscious. We don't know this. We're not purposefully in control of this, but it codes itself. And so that is the code that continues to run over and over and over in the background. And all we know is that we keep showing up in this way. We keep overworking. We keep people pleasing. We are so, we're perfectionistic, overthinkers. Those are not personality traits. Those are survival patterns. And that's your nervous system wired in for safety, for basic needs only. And once we start unpacking this, it's like, it feels like you exhale almost, right? Because you're going, this makes sense.
Oh, I've said that so many times. And a physical weight almost feel like my head. I used to say my head feels like it's in a vice. Like I used to feel like there was this pressure on my head all day, every day, because I would have all these things I needed to do. I was taking care of everybody, like doing all the things. I would say my brain feels like oatmeal or like it's in a blender or like it would. And this summer was the first summer where I was like, I kind of just let it all go. Like, just like, yeah, whatever happens. Like my brain did not hurt. It was like a physical release of pressure that I felt like my body was in for so long. Fight or flight, freeze, all of the, responses that we have. When you do let it go, your body literally feels different in a way that you can't really explain other than like the pressure is kind of released from your body, like a balloon let out the air or something is kind of how I felt in my head.
100%. To Jen B's point, I think that was a beautiful picture that you painted of the body creating a code for safety. Because that is what nervous system work is retraining the body for safety. So we've grown up with all of these experiences and people that have shaped our nervous system. Then we get into adulthood and we've got all these things coming at us and we're going back to the previous wiring for safety. So this is what that transition is about. It's about sitting in what doesn't feel safe and reteaching your body that you are safe and that you're not reliving that circumstance from your childhood or, whatever you pinpoint kind of that. We can get into PTSD, complex PTSD. These are different events in our life. Some are dramatic and some are not. Some are just, I was neglected over and over and over and over, or I was rejected over and over and over. And that is teaching our nervous system how to feel safe because we're wired to find safety. And so that bottom-up approach is actually really integrated well. Like what you're saying, you don't want to diminish talk therapy because it's important to be heard. It's important to rewire the neural pathways. But when you can do them simultaneously and you can wire the brain and the body, the nervous system on the same frequency, you get amazing results. You start really walking in your true self. You can walk in your true confidence.
Do you guys feel like whenever you started experiencing the results of doing some of this work, for me, and I want y'all's opinion, for me, it was like once I did it one time, even though it might have been super emotional or super pain, I was so open to like the next time that wave of emotion hit to kind of carry myself differently and handle it a different way in a way that I wasn't necessarily comfortable with. But the result was so freeing almost in that moment that I was so much more open to doing it again. Like I'm so much more open to emotion than I have been in the last 10 years because I think I was just protecting myself from, I didn't have time to feel anything. I didn't want to feel anything. I didn't want to deal with X, Y, and Z. So you just push it down. But going through it just once or twice was like, oh, I could totally do this. Like it sucked in the moment, but it's like it left my body. So if that's what I have to do to get it out of my body, I'll do that all day.
Well, one of the questions I was going to ask is if for those who might be hearing some of this for the first time, right? Everyone's at different stages. And we are all running a million miles an hour. And I know my biggest thing is I'll hear someone encouraging me to try something. I'm like, but when? Or I can't, right? Like I don't have time. I hear all this and that's great. So now I turn this off and I have to go pick up my kids. You know what I mean? And so there's like, I feel sometimes overwhelmed of like, I know what I should be doing, just like we're talking about, but I'm not making the time or doing it. But before getting to that point, I know this could probably be 3 hours worth of this, but could you share with, someone who might be listening on, hey, maybe that is me. Maybe I am overworked or burned out. Like what are signs that we can be listening to with our bodies of either whether it's a physical sign or we start feeling emotions we haven't felt before, right? Are there certain signs that you're like, hey, if you're experiencing that's a sign, like listen to that, right? Or there's some that kind of, you share with others on like that, listen when your body is speaking that to you. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think to Jen B's point earlier, she was feeling fatigue. She was feeling the burnout. She was feeling exhausted. She was feeling depressed, like in a darkness. I think that just questioning alone, like just questioning what is going on with me is a huge sign of your nervous system is outside of its ability to handle the stress. So breathing. Breathing is so important. As you were talking, I was thinking about Erin, because there is like, well, when am I going to have time? Right. When am I going to have time to sit and do all these beautiful things that you're talking about? So I told her something as simple as, I said, what is the one thing that you do religiously every week? For her, it was go to Pilates. I said, so what if you get there 10 minutes early and you sit in your car and you do the breathing exercises and you do, choose, like I call it choosing me. I am worth this. I am valuable. Doing these things just right before you go in to do something else, or as soon as you're done with that, then sit in your car 10 minutes and do your exercises.
Because if we're being honest, I definitely scroll on TikTok for a minimum of like 2 hours a day, probably. Off and on. Not a consecutive 2 hours, but like I'll get to Pilates early and I'll just scroll. And it's like, oh, I just wasted like 10 or 15 minutes that I could have been just taking a moment to center myself. And yeah, it's more fun to like scroll. But then once you see the benefit of like just kind of grounding yourself for a minute, it is way more beneficial than like people realize. People think, I mean, I don't know if it was you or you. It might not have been either of you. But someone, when I told them I was starting to do this, they were like, oh my gosh, I'm so happy that you're doing it because was it you that said this to me?
Yeah.
She was like, I'm so happy you're doing this because having someone like you who presents a certain way, but is really interested in this where normally it's kind of more very holistic, very, I don't want to say granola, but like it had a different group attached to it where it was like only these people did this kind of therapy. And she was like, I need people to see that like, not that I'm normal and they're not normal, but people of all different beliefs and all different backgrounds and all different jobs and all different whatever. I drive through Chick-fil-A and yes, I work on my nervous system. So like I'm eating unhealthy and I also do holistic nervous system work. So just combining that and letting other people see like, oh, well, Erin's doing that. And it's not maybe something kooky that like only someone who has their own garden and, walks around barefoot every day and, rolls in the dirt or whatever like, to ground themselves. Like I would actually do that at this point because that's how much I love it. But like just showing people that there are so many different sides of it and it is a universal. It is a universal technique that every human being should be doing because the one thing we have in common is we're all carrying trauma in our body. Like we all are doing it. Every single one of us. There's not a single person that's not going to benefit from doing this kind of work.
Yeah. Your body's either working for you or against you.
What's that book? They're like the body keeps
the score. Yes. Yeah. And so really it's understanding more about our wiring, how God made us and embracing the actual physiology so that we can start working with our body. And, to your point earlier, emotions are typically, in and out of the body in 90 seconds. But why do we hold rejection and sadness in? It's because of the story we spin. So the stories we tell ourselves keep us stuck in these emotions that really can be moved through and gone
pretty quickly.
But the stories, you have the experience, it makes you feel rejected. Now you're telling yourself all these other things that are not factual, but feel true to you, and they keep you stuck in that moment. And so the stories are so powerful. And I think so many women, me included, 5 years ago, I don't have time. I said that over and over. I wore my busy badge very big, loud, proud. There was nobody doing more than me. I felt so validated in my work because that is my survival pattern. That's how I also, Erin, found love and felt chosen and safe when I was young. So, standing in that power of like, oh, I'm doing all these things. When would I slow down? Oh, that's cute. You have time to go to Pilates. I don't, because I work and I have kids and I do all these things that are so much more important than myself. That's the message I sent myself. And to everyone listening to this, with so much compassion and love, I see you. I was you. I get it. It is such a hard place to land. But when we are in that place where we're literally telling ourselves, I don't have time for you, that is what's happening inside of us. Think about this. What if you told your kids or your husband, I don't have time for you? How would that relationship be impacted? They would be hurt. They would feel unworthy. That's how your self feels. That's how your spirit receives this consistent backseat that we do. And so I just want to encourage you. I know time is limited and we are very busy women. We do all these things. But with so much love, I just want you to hear this. You do have the time. You are choosing to spend it on other things. And so really what helped me on my journey was creating some space for myself to just reflect and get real and own what I was choosing and see how those choices were impacting my life. Was it making it better or not? And as a recovering people pleaser, I always put everyone else's needs above my own. And so what helped me to just speak into myself was, you matter too. It's not that I'm trying to be selfish or put myself above other people. It was truly just coming from a place of, if you are not willing to meet your own needs, who else is? Because yes, our spouse loves us. Yes, our kids love us. But it is our responsibility to meet our needs. And we have everything we need inside of us.
And if we don't learn that, what are we teaching our kids?
Absolutely.
Well,
modeling.
Right.
Yes, what are we modeling?
We can't pour from an empty cup. And taking nuggets from what you both said too, I just feel a little,
you're wearing a busy
value. My busy badge is like currently high, for those who know. But is when you said that you make time, you do make time for what you want. And we had a conversation in our home this week about that we're not the most magical unicorn all the time. And I think that sometimes we feel like if we let something go, everything's going to crumble. And Erin, I know you've been helping me with this too, that the world will continue to go on. And, it's that like yes, you are valued, but also, I had this conversation with my son. I'm like, you're not the magical unicorn where if you take a break, the whole world is going to crumble. And I think that, a little bit of that humility is good sometimes of, that yes, people need us, but to the extent of us not taking care of ourselves, where is that line, right? And I love so much Janelle, when you said to kind of attach something to your schedule already and your habits, especially if you're new to this or you are, and me speaking humbly, I am in that phase of there's not enough time. So, okay, let's look at our calendar. Let's look at our days rather than feeling like you have to throw the baby out with the bathwater and transform and start gardening and going barefoot. Let's take your regular schedule that you have and where can you take 10 minutes here, 5 minutes there without feeling like you're just shaking your whole world up. And maybe those small moments can be transformative, right?
Yes, breath work in those 10 minutes, 5 minutes that you have. What are some other, like breath work? And by breath work, like, what do we mean?
Yeah.
You know, how somebody just going to sit there and breathe in their car, or journaling, or like, what are a couple like different little exercises that someone could do when they're in carpool? Like just like little stuff to just draw focus back to themselves.
Well, as I've been listening, it really makes me think of the different time we live in. When I was growing up in the 70s and 80s, we were always outside. We were always barefoot, playing in the dirt, playing in the grass.
How sad is it that barefoot's so rare? Wherever you're saying barefoot.
Yeah, I know. That's
100%.
terrible.
And we didn't have the technology we have. We didn't have cell phones. We didn't have computers. There was no such thing as scrolling. And so there's a different time that we're living in, and we're wondering why kids are having such mental health problems because we've become so disconnected from our bodies. Sometimes I think back to my childhood and I remember having no cares in the world, even though I grew up in a very dysfunctional home. But I would go outside with my brothers and dig in the dirt and had like no care in the world. So that brings us to the point of what do we do? And being intentional about what we do. And there is an element to our bodies that needs the mineral from the earth, that needs the energy from the earth. Where, you know, I believe in Adam and Eve, the story, and it says that man was created from the dirt. That means there are elements in the soil that are in our bodies. And so that's why when people are like, oh, it's so crunchy. Well, that's why it is so soothing to be barefoot in the ground, you know, walking around in the grass or on the dirt. It is so soothing to take that deep breath. It is like, for me, the ocean. The ocean is my number
there is something
one
about water.
Place.
So good.
It just, everything slows down. Time slows down. And I think sometimes we believe that we're wearing our busy badge and look at what we're getting accomplished. But really, we don't know how to slow down. And our society is so disconnected from our own body. And so back to the point of what can we do? Where can we find those few minutes a day to carve out some deep breathing? So breath work is different than just noticing breath. So breath work is, there's a whole science behind all this breath work and expanding the lungs and so on and so forth. But what I'm talking about is just take a deep breath. Like, notice that air coming into your chest, noticing you're releasing that air, like really going inward and noticing your body. Like Jen B said, your body is saying, hey, look at me, I'm here, pay attention. And we're not paying attention. So when we start to just calm our mind, calm our space, stand out in the grass for 5 minutes and just notice a deep breath coming in and notice that breath leaving our body, putting hand over heart, putting hand over belly, feeling your body, noticing your sensations that happen in your body, that is the best starting place.
And imagine like if we modeled that for our kids with the amount of, like, I agree with you. Like, I don't remember having anxiety when I was growing up or anything, because I was definitely before cell phones. But my kids get so anxious so quick, or they get so frustrated so quick. And so I've actually started yesterday. Andy Rose was doing a math problem and she got so mad and she like scribbled on her paper, and I was like, oh. And then she took the eraser and was like breaking it. And I was like, what? Because of one problem. I was like, what is happening right now? She was tired. She was so frustrated. And I literally she rolled her eyes at me. She could not stand that I was making her do this, but I literally made her like tap. And I was like, close your eyes and breathe for like 15 seconds. I'm going to count and I'll breathe with you, but just do it. She was like, this is so stupid. And then she was like, and then she did it. And then like literally, but kids just have so much more coming at them. These are easy things. These are not difficult things to teach our kids to do. Us not taking the time to do that is just lazy.
And that's powerful. That moment of you instilling that in her with a math problem is really, really cool to think about, because then if something larger happens in life, right? Maybe she will revert back to what mom taught me to do with the math problem.
I'm going to keep teaching them to do that because it's helped me so much because life is not getting easier. It's getting harder. When they're adults, it's going to be a different world than it even is now, which is terrifying. So like, I think that parents, our generation anyways, raising kids like right now is very difficult. And I think if we don't get a grip on ourselves, it's going to be really not good.
And being able to show that that's okay in the home, you know, like it's okay to talk about how we breathe and how we put our hands on, you know, to have those conversations and to normally be able to talk about that in moments without saying, hey, we're going to go to a place and talk about it here. Or again, compartmentalize, but being able to do it during dinner, a math problem, or in the car, sports, kind of like in the moment when those things are happening to say, hey, you know, that happened to me the other night. I told my son, like, I struggled with that. I walked downstairs when I got you guys to bed and I needed to work and I felt anxious. So I sat on the floor for a minute and I laid there and I, you know, made sure nothing was around me. And I was explaining to my son that I'm going through that and that's okay. And I think that is just, we didn't have those conversations when I was growing up.
We didn't know better then. And you were asking about techniques and I love that you brought up, you know, I know, how are we going to start this? If I do feel busy, if I don't feel like I have the time, how do I work this in?
Right.
And it's not about another thing to do. It's about the way you show up.
And that's shifting your mindset.
You are going to show up anyway. How can I show up different? Because the pace of our life in 2025, it keeps us in fight or flight. If we are hurried, if we are running out of time, our nervous system is automatically in fight or flight. So we are in this high energy, something is threatening me state just by the way we're living. So sometimes it's as simple as get up a little earlier so you're not running late. You know, we this is just what we like to do as women. We like to overcomplicate it. Give me the 5 steps. I will do it. I need the framework. And it's like, hey, really, you can do this with so much ease. And I also teach my clients, you know, carpool. When you're sitting, when you have these pauses, it's about how you're using that time. So just like Janelle was talking about breathing, I teach my clients, just count your inhale and count your exhale. I'm breathing in for 4. I'm breathing out for 6. How does that feel? Does that feel soothing? Do you want to change it? Change it. But just being in your body connected. These are so simple. Orienting. I teach my clients orienting. What does that mean? You use your senses to get information about your environment. What do I see? What do I hear? What do I smell? What do I taste? What do I touch? You can do this anywhere. And so, in fact, you sit in the car, you're just, what do I see? Oh, there's that mom, there's that car, there's that kid. Oh, what do I hear? And you really are, it's this simple. It truly is this simple.
I'm totally doing this today in carpool.
How we are showing up. And let's don't overcomplicate it. Let's just find these places where we can start to embody this lifestyle a little bit more instead of making it be about like, I don't have enough time to do, you know, 30 minutes.
I hear so often that I am not in control of my schedule. I don't feel like I have control of my life. Like my life is running me, right? My husband and I even have those conversations. And so how do we get to that point? How do we let that be how we're feeling? And Jen, when you said that we were created from the earth and to feel centered and grounded and to take those moments to where we just get back into like, hold the phone, take a minute, you know, here we are. I think I've shared this before, but one thing I've been saying with my kids is if there's a moment that feels very overwhelming, and I know it is to them, but think of the globe. Like I actually visualize the globe. I know that sounds so weird, the world. And I think about how big it is. And then I'm like, okay, we're going to be okay today. You know what I mean? Like sometimes I will do that and I'll find like a visual, and that's my visual is like the globe. I just think of like how big the world is and not to minimize the problem that I might be in or the situation, but just of that perspective setting of like, okay, then like breathe and find something that you can kind of hold on to. I think just grounding yourself. But when you said that we're so out of touch with our bodies. When you said that, I was like, oh, a light bulb went off. I was like, we are. And then that's why we feel like we're not in control and our schedule's running us. And then it's the wheel that we keep waking up to every day. So then, but then Jen, you're like, just right now, make the choice. Not that hard. Don't overcomplicate it.
Don't overcomplicate it.
Well, I think we overcomplicate everything to stay in these negative patterns. Like it's like, oh, I can't do it. I don't have time. I can't. You do have time. Everybody has time. Like you just don't want to. You just don't want to. It's almost like we feel more comfortable complaining sometimes about everything that's going wrong than spending 5 minutes doing something that's healthy and right. Like we've just, we're in a really, I think our world's very unhealthy and sick. And so we stay in that, we hear that all that, everything's so negative. It's like people are almost uncomfortable with health and wellness, but they're growing more towards it where I feel like people are more open to it. But it's almost like, you know, you only think of the negative things. You don't remember the good things. You only remember the bad things. That's how I feel like we live our lives now, where it's like complain, but you're doing it to yourself. So are we really allowed to complain when it's a choice we made?
Right.
Just make a better choice. To me, it's very like, just make a different choice.
Well, and people are so uncomfortable with stillness.
So
people want instant results. We're in such a microwave world now where we want some instant results. And if it fits in our to-do list, if it fits into our schedule, then we'll do it. But then we don't realize that reconnecting with your body is slow work. It's intentional work. And it's consistent work. So we have to do these little micro changes consistently. We don't just overnight become so grounded and so calm.
I will tell you that is not what happened. I mean, it felt like it happened fast as far as me recognizing the difference in the way I felt, but it didn't mean that 2 weeks later I wasn't back in the same spot and had to like, okay, what am I supposed, you know, like it has been hard. I mean, how many times have you seen me? Like 7 or 8 times? We've had like 7 or 8 sessions. I mean, some sessions are like, okay, here we go. And some sessions are like, I'm a mess, you know? But I feel the muscle memory getting stronger. Like I feel myself in certain situations going, I know this is going to be hard, but I also know I'm not going to die from it. When it's hard, I know I'm not going to fall apart. I know I'm going to work through it and be better because I spent the time on myself to work through it. And my kids are such my focus in everything I do. I think as moms, we probably say that. I think a lot of people say that, but if you really sat back and looked at your life, are they the priority? Or are you just, I heard somebody saying that on a podcast and it really hit me where it was like, the decisions that you're making, are those comfortable for you? Because if they're comfortable for you, it probably is not the best thing for your kids because parenting is very difficult. So if you're doing it with the true intention of like, I want to better myself to better them and their experience, it's work. It's not going to be easy. So if you're like, if it's easy for you or you're not feeling like you're having to step outside of your comfort zone, I don't know that that's really your priority. And I'm not judging. I've been in the same place where I've had to stop and like look at myself and go, oh, wait, what? Am I making them the priority or am I just saying that because that's what moms are supposed to say? When you make yourself the priority, you are making them the priority. Yeah. Is what I'm learning.
You have to feel to heal.
Yeah. Oh,
and if we're so used to not feeling that when we do feel, now we think something's wrong, something's abnormal. And to what you're saying, Erin, we have to even embody this and teach this to our children so that they will learn not to be afraid of their feelings, not to be afraid to feel, not to be afraid to sit in something and feel the ick of it, because that's the way your nervous system is going to learn. You have to teach it. You have, just like you have to teach your children, you have to teach you. And so I think that's the number one thing that I would say to any woman starting this journey is you have to feel to heal. And it is slow work. It is not tomorrow I'm going to be all better. It is very slow work. And be kind to yourself. We have to befriend our inner critic and not pick ourselves apart when we don't do something what we think should be perfect. I mean, I could just really go on and on about that.
Well, that's what I was going to ask both of you. If someone listening right now, like feels stuck, some of the first steps that they could do to just even start the conversation, or what are the first steps that they would take towards healing in this way?
I would add, I agree exactly with what Janelle said. We can't change what we can't see. So you have to make the unconscious conscious. And what I mean by that is we live on autopilot. How many times do you drive home and get there and go, I do not remember driving home?
Oh, all the time.
I'm here, and was that red light green, or did I just,
Right.
We live on autopilot, and that is the exact reason why we're so disconnected. We are living, our subconscious is carrying us. And so we will repeat the same things we did the day before by nature, by our physiology. Same thoughts we had yesterday, most of them are negative. That is our physiology design. So principles of the universe and science say, that we always are going to be moving towards chaos. If you leave something without motion, you just leave it, it will begin to move towards chaos. So we have to be intentional. This is the principle of the world. I didn't make it up, just like gravity. We know how that works, right? We're not going to step off of our roof. Why? Because we know we're going to fall down. So understanding how the world works matters. That's how we optimize this life and really get the most out of it. So when we think about that, we have to be intentional about the way we live. We have to show up with consciousness, with awareness. And so I think just really becoming more aware. How am I living? What is life like? How does this feel? How am I impacting my kids today? What is happening in my body? One of the first things I teach my clients is check-ins. We typically don't do this. We're so busy. We're on autopilot. We're disconnected. 3 times a day checking in with yourself. Morning, great. Noon, and evening. Hey, Jen, how are you? What's going on in your world right now?
I call them pulse checks, like a pulse check. That's kind of what I say. Like, hey, I'm going to do a pulse check with myself or with my spouse or with someone that works with me. Like, I call it like a little pulse check.
That's perfect. Yeah.
You doing okay? That's it. Just because sometimes we get moving so fast.
Yes. And sometimes that gives us the awareness, and then we realize, you know what? I am going to make some different choices. I do want to show up different. I do have some tools that I can use. And if people are wanting to, enhance tool belt, get more support, obviously we're here. There's lots of different resources for that. But I think let's don't overcomplicate it. Let's just really look at life and the pace and how we're showing up, and look at all these little ways that we can create change.
What's so encouraging, though, listening and hearing to both you speak is, when we can live life on autopilot. We can. We do. Absolutely. Could we live the next 40 years on autopilot? Sure. Will our kids turn out okay? I hope. So we can do that. But I think what's so exciting is when you guys are talking about this somatic approach and holistically digging in, what's the end goal? And it's because we know we're made for more. We know that we want more. And if we wake up and be like, I just feel, I would say this without getting emotional, like I'm missing something, or I'm exhausted, or you feel like, can I do this for the next 10 years? Like those thoughts that I wake up with sometimes, that means that like, clearly, I believe God's telling you, you were made for more. And we can't get there until we go to this, kind of deeper place of feeling the feelings, listening to our bodies. And so as I'm sitting over here, just listening to both of you speak about the potential and how we can go through this healing process, it's healing. And I think when we say the word trauma, it's intimidating. I don't say the word trauma. I don't feel like I've had trauma. However, I have in certain areas when I was, in my life. And so I think that we sometimes, some people may avoid that word, but it can also be used.
A lot of people avoid that word.
A lot of people avoid that word, trauma. And so, but if we can look at it in the lens of like, hey, let's dig into this. Let's go here so that I can get to the next place that I want to, so that I can show up for myself, so that I can like experience what you're feeling, Erin, of that breakthrough, of just like that weight lifted off. And so I won't get on a soapbox on that, but it's exciting to hear you guys speak about like, yeah, it might get messy. And we're talking about this stage of life that we're in that's not glamorous and it's hard, but it's also can be really good if we unpack some of this, right?
I think our bodies don't have the capacity to hold much past 40 something. That we've held our whole life and pushed down. Even when you think, I told Jen, I thought I was processing everything because I'd talk about it with my best friends. And I'd get upset. I'd call somebody, I'd talk about it, and I'd be like, good, I worked through that. And then no, it was very much still there. I wasn't dealing with it. I was just distracting myself with conversation. So whatever your distraction is, whether it's being busy, whether it's drinking, whether it's exercising, whatever, whether it's other people, whatever, you have a distraction or a coping mechanism that you enforce without even realizing it that keeps you from actually like feeling, because those feelings are really hard, but everybody has them and everybody needs to like work through them.
And your story is your testimony.
Yes.
And then, yeah.
And I feel like we're all in the same spot. Like, so the thing is, we're all afraid to say, I have trauma or I have this or I have that. Every single person is experiencing almost the same thing and could benefit from all of these things that you guys have talked about.
Well, the word you used that's key is capacity. And that's what this type of work does. It creates greater capacity to handle stress. It creates greater capacity to move forward and not stay stuck in the same pattern. And I just wanted to say something to Stacy's point is that we are made for more, but we're not made for more busyness. We're made for more purpose. And increasing that capacity helps us to function and operate greater in our purpose. And so I think that those are very important keys to remember that that is the end goal of this work, because it will never end until we die. But the end game is, let's create more of who we are. Let's bring out more of that image of God that we're all created in, and what is our purpose, and create capacity and space for that. Because right now we're so busy, we have no space for who we truly are. We only have space for who we want people to think we are.
That's good.
Y'all, that is the perfect ending to this like amazing conversation. So pinky promise to everybody listening, they're coming back because we're going to do this. We're not going to just have this conversation one time. We're going to dive in to different stuff. So we want to have you guys back on. We're going to definitely include all of the Jen's information, both of their information, websites and Instagrams and all the good things. We hope you guys got something from this episode. I know I do every single time I talk to either of these women. It's just life-giving for me, and I hope that you guys enjoyed it. Stay tuned for more of these because we'll definitely have them back on.
Absolutely. Thank you. And thank you both
for you guys giving knowledge
and
for
having
us.
That was fun.
Yes. Thank you.